My name is Kathy Denman. I'm 67 years old, and I retired from being a psychologist and a therapist in Fresno, California. My hometown is actually Stockton, California, which is only a couple hours north of Fresno. And actually, though, I've lived in many places. I also spent a little time in Europe visiting one time, and then I did live for about 2 months in the Middle East in Israel, where I took a term of graduate school. So I've been around, and I chose Ensenada, Mexico, because I actually lived here from 2007 to 2010. And it wasn't entirely a planned time of living here. I came here to help somebody, and then I ended up staying. And I fell in love with Ensenada. I just thought it was the most wonderful place. As I mentioned, I've lived in a lot of places, and I never felt as at home anywhere as I ever have in Ensenada. Probably the one big practical reason is that when a person retires, they end up on a fixed income that's usually smaller than whatever they were earning when they were working. And that would be me. I'm just living on my Social Security check and another small pension that I receive from my husband's death because I am a widow. So between those two pensions and a little bit of personal money that I have saved, that's how I am surviving here. And if I had tried to stay in retirement in, for example, Fresno, California, where I'm from, or where I moved from, I wouldn't be able to make it on the money that comes in now in retirement compared to what I was making when I was working. I do not own the home that I am sitting in right now. I am renting right now. I got in my car and I drove around Ensenada, and when I saw a sign that said de venta or de renta, for sale or for rent, I was able to stop, write down the phone number. Sometimes I would just park in front and call the number. And one of the houses that I saw, it was actually for sale, and it was in a different neighborhood than the one I'm in right now. I liked the house, so I pulled up and called, and the lady who answered said, well, no, that one I still am going to have for sale. But she said, I have another one that you might be interested in, and it's for rent. And she said, meet me at, and then she gave me the address of this house that I'm in. And so I drove over here, and she met me, and I walked through it, and I knew it was supposed to be my house. And I really love it. It's got 3 bedrooms and a bathroom and a kitchen. And it's got a front yard and a backyard and really nice neighbors on both sides and across the street and all up and down the street. I've gotten to know pretty much most of my neighbors on the street. So I have a cat, and she likes to go in and out. So my back door, I don't have a way for her to come in and out unless I leave the door open. So I very seldom lock the back door. That should tell you how safe I am. I've never had anyone break in. I've never had anyone try to, come through the door. I live here very safely, and I feel very comfortable with my neighbors. I think they are all looking after each other and after me. My neighborhood is extremely peaceful. So, well, like I said, I drove around to find this place, but I do think that the process takes time. And I have met some Americans who come here and they visit for a day or two and they decide, oh, I want to live here. And then they just move here and stay in a hotel and think that they're going to find a place to live. And it doesn't happen that fast. Sometimes it takes more than a month for something to open up that's just right for you. When it comes to renting a place, the rental contract is very, very important. It's always going to be in Spanish. So you need to bring someone with you that can read Spanish, okay? That's the first thing. The second thing is rental contracts here in Mexico don't often include the clause that says, you know, a 30-day notice if you're going to move out, or that the owner has to give you a 30-day notice, for example, if they're going to sell the place. So it's important that you make sure that the things you want in the contract are written into the contract, and if they're not, make sure that the agent or the owner puts those in the contract before you sign it. What I like about my neighborhood is, you know, first of all, that it's well-established neighborhood, and that all the people that live here in this neighborhood, because of that, they've been here a long time. And they are people that I can go to ask for advice because they've been here a while and they know kind of how things work, and like they know, for example, what day the garbage comes, and they told me that when I moved in, and there's a water truck that passes every day, and they told me, you know, about that, and just different things. It's good to be in a well-established neighborhood where the people around you know what's going on and they can help you adjust. The best thing for me is that I can walk to the street called Cortez. It's the street just 2 blocks that way, and everything is there. Grocery shopping, the pharmacy. I can pay my water bill and my electricity bill. I can have my laundry done at the lavanderia that's over there on Cortez. And even in one day, I can walk to all of my things that I need to do and get them all done. And I think that's really a huge plus for this colonia. Before I broke my leg, my way of getting around Ensenada was 2 ways. To do my errands, like going to the grocery or paying bills, my way of getting my errands done was to walk. I also, when I have to go to things further away, I use Didi or Uber. Those are the 2 car services, and neither one of them cost very much. And then if I want to go out to they call it the Macro Plaza, where the Walmart and Home Depot, Costco, and all kinds of other, and banks and other stores are. That trip will cost me about $2 to get there and $2 to come back, so not too bad. And I usually take the taxi to the bus station if I'm going to take the bus up to the border, which I really only have to do once or twice a year for things related to my Social Security. But however, I do have friends that have cars, and they do come and pick me up and take me places as well. So I don't always have to pay Uber and Didi. I have friends that I can utilize too here in Ensenada. I think maybe the couple of special things about Ensenada, one is that even though I don't go to the beach very often, the beaches are absolutely beautiful. And another thing that I think is special about Ensenada, maybe other people wouldn't have an interest in this, but there's culture here, you know, in terms of museums and interesting cultural events. There's a wonderful Center of the Arts, and I have been there several times I went to a lecture about the cave paintings in Baja California, and that was a wonderful experience. And they have concerts. You know, it compared, usually you find the amount of cultural events in a city like Mexico City or maybe Guadalajara, but Ensenada is really on top of the cultural experience, and they're always offering something at the cultural center or at the Center for the Arts. The valley, the wine country is beautiful, and it's not too far from here. You need to plan to drive about an hour and a half maybe. I am very grateful for the healthcare system here, and I have experienced it in two forms. When I broke this foot at the end of June, the ambulance took me to a private hospital called Velmar, and that hospital is, you have to pay. It's a private for-pay healthcare with insurance, okay? Very much like the United States in that regard. When I got COVID, I have a doctor that I go to, and she's over on Cortez, and she realized that I probably had COVID, so she sent me to the hospital. The general hospital is the more socialized medicine here in Mexico, that where, you know, because it's government paid for, you don't pay very much money, if any, to go there. And they have taken really good care of me. And to be honest, I have had to pay very little for that experience. The Mexico Relocation Guide has been a big help to me. How to become a resident here legally and get away from being on the visa, which I still am at this point. And I started learning about rental contracts that I already talked about, and about, you know, how to negotiate those here in Mexico. I learned from the Relocation Guide as well, you know, some attitudes that needed to change if you're going to move here and live here as an American. My typical day in Mexico depends what day of the week it is, but on Tuesdays we have a group. We call ourselves the Breakfast Club, and we go out every Tuesday morning at 9 o'clock and we have breakfast together. And it's a group of Americans who have lived here much long. I am definitely the youngest one of the group, I think, and I'm also the one that has lived here the least amount of time. I also belong to a club called Compañeros Club, and it's here in Ensenada, and it is a club of Americans and Mexicans, local Mexicans. So everything that we do at the club is in English and Spanish, because we have half of our membership are Mexicans as well. So about twice a month, we have special events at the club, and we do charitable work. That's the main purpose of the club. We raise money for the young people in Ensenada, especially the ones who are interested in going to UNAM, the University of Mexico here in Ensenada. And we offer scholarships and other money to help them be able to go after they finish high school here. And usually the last week of the month, which is this week that we're in now, I will be going down to the bank to get money to pay the rent, and pay and get the money to pay those other bills that will be due the week after this one. One of the things that I think everyone should take into consideration, that's been a struggle for me when they move here, is the issue of the water. I am blessed that I have a pump in the back, and it pumps water from the tinaco, which is the cistern up on the platform in the back. And so when we don't have water, I have water because I have a tinaco in the back, a cistern. Here, you have to buy, you cannot drink the water that comes from the sink or the faucet. You have to buy water to drink. And so I am blessed every day the water truck comes by, and if I am out of water or one of my garrafons of water is empty, I can just, awa, and he will stop and fill me up with water. But so that's important. You don't have good roads here. Maybe the main streets are okay, but the streets in the neighborhoods, they might as well not have pavement, because the potholes are big and the struggle with driving on them is very difficult. I think my life has changed in that I have learned to live on a lot less money, and that's just because I've retired. And you know, I've actually learned that I can live in a foreign country. I'd already lived in Ensenada before for those 2.5 years. But that time, I was not living by myself. I was actually living with a family. Now, as you guys that are watching this can see, I live by myself in this home, and I'm doing it, and I feel very proud of that. It takes a lot of courage to live in a foreign country as an expat by yourself. When you move all your furniture and all your clothes and your whole life basically to another country, it's permanent. You're not going back. And I think that is what I was sort of confronted with in the first 6 or 7 months of my time here, and feeling that sense of being a little homesick. But as time has gone on and I've made more friends and I've established myself, that's getting less and less. Advice for those of you that are considering moving here in the future. But I would say you need to learn conversational Spanish so that you can pay your bills and negotiate your whatever contracts you might have without having a struggle. Number 2, learn about Mexico. Learn a little bit of the history. I'm not saying you have to become an expert, but learn a little bit about the history and the culture. Don't just come here and not know anything about the country you're living in. I guess number 3, I would say, don't come here and expect things to be the same as in the United States. Visit. See if it's really what you want. See if the things that are different about the lifestyle here. If you're moving here, the best thing for you to do is to sell your possessions and buy new ones here. And I know that sounds like a lot, but it's not as hard as it sounds. It's actually harder to do what I did. But still, I would recommend, if you're moving, don't bring it all over, just bring a little bit. I just want you to know how much I love Mexico, and I'm passionate about this country and its people and this culture. And I would give anything for the whole world to experience it. But I also know that, not everybody will enjoy it as much as I do, but for most of you, I think you will. And I just want you to come down here and experience this country the way I do, and love it and appreciate it And if you can reach that point of love and appreciation that makes you want to live here, then please, I invite you to come join me in this experience.